So a huge welcome to today's lesson. Over the past few weeks in science, we've been exploring living things and their habitats. To begin our lesson today, I would like you to revisit your learning. So last week we looked really closely at an urban habitat. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to pause the video here, follow the link to BBC Bite Size, and I would like you to watch the short clip about urban habitats and then answer the questions in the quiz below. This will help you to refresh your memory of what an urban habitat is and what animals and creatures you might find living there, along with plants too. Okay, so you can go ahead and do that now. So now you've familiarised yourself with your understanding of what an urban habitat is, we can start to think about some of the other habitats that we looked at last week. So we looked at woodland habitats, for example, and we also looked at coastal habitats. Now, there are lots of different kinds of habitats in our world, okay? Some are very, very big, like a woodland, and some habitats that we have are very, very small, okay? Now, these habitats might exist inside a larger habitat. So, for example, in a large habitat like a woodland, you might have a little smaller habitat inside there, and that is called a microhabitat. So in a woodland, you might have a pile of logs, for example, and inside that pile of logs, there will be a microhabitat, okay? So a microhabitat is just something that exists inside a larger habitat, okay? And it's where our mini beasts live, okay? So mini beasts live inside these little microhabitats, and they get all of their nutrition, they make their food in there, and they're able to do all of their life processes in there as well, okay? Here are some examples of some of the microhabitats that you may find in a larger habitat, okay? So here we've got an example of rocks and stones, grass, inside rotting wood, fallen leaves, in and on the soil, and in tall flowers as well. So in tall garden plants, you might find microhabitats, okay? So if you were to look outside your window now, what type of microhabitats can you see? Now, I know in my garden, if I was to look outside, I would see a microhabitat out there because I've got quite a large tree. And outside in my garden, underneath my tree, I've got lots and lots of leaves. And all of the leaves had fallen off during the autumn time, and they'd provided a little microhabitat for some of my mini beasts to live in, because we know that some of our mini beasts, such as snails, like to eat all of the fallen leaves, don't they? That's what they like to feed on. So that means that this microhabitat of those fallen leaves is a perfect place for them to live and for them to exist, because it gives them access to all of that space and all of that nutrition that they need to grow and be healthy and to carry out their life processes, okay? So have a little look at some of the microhabitats that you might have in your own garden, and you could maybe pause the video and just have a little think or have a little chat about the different microhabitats that you can see within your own space. Okay, so like I was explaining earlier, a mini beast is a small creature that lives inside these microhabitats, okay? So some examples are on the screen for you now. So we've got examples of snails, we've got bees and wasps, we've got butterflies, we've even got some beetles and some earwigs as well. So many of these mini beasts live in different kinds of habitats. So maybe you could identify the different kinds of habitats that they live in. So for example, I know that butterflies and bees like to live in the microhabitats in our garden that contain all of the flowers, don't they? Because they are attracted to all of the petals that are on the flowers, and we learnt that when we were learning all about plants, okay? Can you think of the other places where some of these mini beasts might live? What other microhabitats might they come from? Okay, so maybe you could pick one out and just have a little chat about that now. And also they are suited to living in these microhabitats because, like I said in the slide earlier, they can find their food and water, and they can find all of the shelter that they need as well. So this helps them to carry out their life processes. And we know that all living things have those 7 life processes, Mrs. Nerg, don't they? They carry out all of those 7 life processes so that they can be, so that they are alive, basically, so that they're living and they are healthy. Okay. Now, mini beasts they also have another really important job to do, because what they do is they work really, really hard to keep their microhabitats healthy. So that's another really interesting fact about our mini beasts, because they help to nourish all of that microhabitats to keep it healthy. Okay. So here I've left you a little link to another video where you can watch all about mini beasts and find out some really important facts and information about what they look like and what they do. Okay, so you can head on over to this video and watch to find out a little bit more. Now, on the next few slides, I'm just going to let you read through them yourselves, okay? So this is just some more information about those different mini beasts and microhabitats. So I'm going to play through each of the slides, and I'd like you to maybe pause the video and you can have a little read of each of them. So for today's independent task, all you have to do is look at the picture, okay? And I want you to be looking for those microhabitats, okay? I've chosen to write a few down for you here to give you some ideas. So I've put under the stones and under the rocks that you can see in the picture, under the fallen leaves, inside that rotting wood, you might have a microhabitat, in the grass, and also in the soil that you can see there too. So there are lots of examples of microhabitats. Now what I would like you to do is I want you to choose 2 of them, okay? And I want you to give me a sentence about them. So I want you to describe that microhabitat, okay? Now I'm going to give you 2 now. So if you're really struggling for some ideas, maybe you could magpie one or 2 of mine. So I've chosen the rotting wood as one of my microhabitats and the soil as another one of my microhabitats, okay? So I've said my sentence about rotting wood is this: the rotting wood is a good microhabitat because it is dark and damp, okay? So I'll say that again. The rotting wood is a good microhabitat because it is dark and damp. Okay, so that's my sentence describing my rotting wood microhabitat. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one I've chosen is the soil. So here's my sentence to describe the soil. The soil is a good microhabitat because it is muddy and dark. Okay, so that's another good reason why soil is a good microhabitat. So I'll read it again for you. The soil is a good microhabitat because it is muddy and dark. So I'm asking you to choose 2 microhabitats from the picture, and I would like you to write a sentence to describe both of them, okay? On your worksheet there will be a little word bank, so that will give you some ideas of some of the different words that you can use in your sentence, some of the different adjectives to describe your microhabitat, okay? Now, also then, once you've done that, once you've completed that part of the activity, Then I would like you to move on to the second part, and you're going to be ticking some of the animals that you might find in those microhabitats. Okay, so would you find a fox in a microhabitat? No, you definitely wouldn't, would you? So that's one that you wouldn't need to tick. Would you find a worm in a microhabitat? Yes, so that would be one that you would tick. So you're going to go across and you're going to tick all of the animals that you would find in a microhabitat from that picture, okay? Then I would like you to answer the questions. So you'll be able to answer the questions based on today's lesson. And then if you want to, for fun, if it's not too rainy outside, maybe you could have a little go at going on your own mini beast adventure in your garden, or maybe you could go in your local area. You could even get your siblings involved too. So we'd love to hear about what you've gotten up to today in your mini beast adventures, and keep us updated. And as always, please send your work through to your class teachers. Okay, bye bye for now, everybody.